All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending. We'll go ahead and get our meeting started. We'll start out with Gene going to give us a prayer, and then Spencer will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you today for this day, for the opportunity we have to meet together as a commission, and ask that you please be with them and as they make those decisions that they need to make. We thank you for the motion that we've received, and ask that you please protect our first responders that need to go out onto these fires. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner, you've got that very short meeting last time, but then Commissioner Blake was Chair Pro Tem on the one before, so there's
Sets of notes or minutes. All right. Well, let's go ahead and approve the minutes for the meeting of
June 22nd.
June 22nd and July 7th. Entertain a motion for that.
I'll move to approve the minutes on those two dates as outlined.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have next is the approval for claims for payment from June 22nd, 2026 to July 26th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's go ahead and move into department reports. CVWCD. Mr. Monroe walks in the door.
Did we get the acronym right?
No D.
No D.
CVWC.
Sitter.
Okay. We don't do district.
No,
Well,
we are a district, but yeah, the name is Cedar Valley Water Conservancy.
All right, my
You
apologies.
change?
It's
When'd
really
you
hard,
change?
Paul, to change names on us.
Who are you?
We're used to our
representing?
acronyms.
You can't change
All right.
acronyms on us.
We tried to remove a couple of words in our name. I mean, we're still government, so we still, I guess, have to have 4. But it's nice to shorten it a little bit.
We'll drop the D.
Yeah. Very good. Thanks, Commissioners Paul Monroe with the Cedar Valley Water Conservancy. A couple of things that wanted to bring to your attention. First of all, with some of Mother Nature's help, we're very appreciative of the precip that we've received. Wanted to highlight what our residents have done. I know as I've visited with Enoch City and Cedar City, they've seen some similar results, but just within the Water Conservancy, the connections that we have, we were able to save 500,000 gallons per day in the last 2 weeks from our pumping. That's the amount that was reduced by people shutting off their controllers or just having smart irrigation controllers that shut themselves off when that precip comes. So that was something that was really cool to see and to calculate. So on average, the last 2 weeks where we've received that rain, that was 500,000 gallons per day.
Wow.
We kind of sticking on that same note, conservation. We have every year we put on the water festival. We put that on as an educational component. Initially, we started out, we had a lot of water games, and as things have shifted, we've gone away from that. But we have a lot of really good sponsors and a lot of great booths and educational information for the whole community. Everything's free at that event. That was the last week of June. We host that there in Cedar City Park to be able to showcase what type of conservation practices that can be done and accomplished both through agriculture and residentially, what people can do to continue to save water. So that was a great event and a great thing that, thanks to our sponsors, we're able to put that on and show our community what they can do to better save water. I wanted to highlight on our Pine Valley Water Supply Project, Basin 14. As you recall, we received the record of decision from BLM back in March. And following that, there was a lawsuit that was filed from the Center for Biological Diversity, Beaver County, and the Indian Peaks Band. And I'm proud to share within the first round of litigation, the judge strongly and decisively ruled in our favor. Consequently, since then, all three entities have dropped their lawsuit, their legal case, within the Interior Board of Land of Appeals. So that's the administrative process. So they've dropped that lawsuit, and we're moving full steam ahead. We're in the process of consulting a consultant that will oversee the next several phases. They'll be doing the value engineering, putting together the financial plans, managing the NEPA mitigation process, which will help protect the existing waterways and water rights in those valleys. And then they'll also handle the overall construction management of the project.
Paul, will it save on the NEPA timeline because we're going down a lot of the roads? We just got to cross that one piece of government land. Is that going to help? What's the time frame for NEPA?
So that NEPA is complete. That's
So
what
it's
the record
done.
of decision was.
So that's all done.
Yep, that's all done. Yep.
So what else do you have to have approval for?
Nothing.
Nothing.
We can move ahead.
Wow.
Yep. So the next steps will be the engineering estimates from our engineers and also some other consultants I've been talking with is probably 3.5 years to get it fully engineered. And then, we'll kind of, there'll be the financial portion of that. So maybe another year or two or so in there, and then about 3 years of construction. So you're between 6 to 10 years, somewhere in there, before water would be at the tap here in Cedar Valley.
You still looking at like a 54-inch or?
That's going to be all part of
Engineering.
that value engineering. I'm not sure. I think initially we're kind of looking at like a 50-inch, but I don't know what that will look like as they actually get in and do the actual engineering on it. So
Steel or HDPE or?
yep.
It'll all be decided.
It'll all be part of what they analyze. I think initially when we were kind of looking at it, potentially coming out of the first part of pumping it and through the canyon of Pine Valley, that might have been able to be HDPE. But when you get closer to Lund, the pressures are too high, and the volume, you want to have a larger capacity. And so a lot of times it doesn't economically make sense to do HDPE because your wall thickness is, even on some lower pressures, your wall thickness is a couple inches thick.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes more cost effective just to do steel.
What about the section we purchased for the solar? Does that have to, or at Sittler Land, does that have to have any kind of, do they have any kind of, I know it'd be a different thing, but where the government, we have to do NEPA with the feds, what do we have to do with Sittler, anything?
Well, so we bought it outright. So we own it.
We can do whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's our property, private property at this point, and that was it was analyzed and part of the NEPA project. So, or part of the NEPA process. So if we are fortunate to receive some type of federal funds to go towards the project, that is already complete and already analyzed and part of the project. So we won't have to do further NEPA analysis on that at that point.
Awesome.
I'll move on then and just talk about some of our local projects. We wrapped up a couple of things within our, we called it our 2020 water improvement project. We wrapped up 4 million gallon tank. I think I mentioned that last time. The next phases of that were to put in some wells. So we're drilling wells currently. Well, they're not mobilized yet, but we've got contracts signed, and they should be getting there shortly. Well near Weco, and then a well near the BZI property. So 2 new wells will be going in there. There should be large capacity wells, and we may do another as well. So we're just trying to continue to expand that. We're working very closely with our city partners, and working to further regionalize our systems so that we can have backup redundant supplies within our municipalities. And those plans and that process, I think, is going very good. We've got some great leadership within our communities, and a lot of groundwork has been laid to be able to make that happen. I know that Cedar City's making some adjustments and plans so that they can tie into that large new tank, 4 million gallon tank, and share a pressure zone within the Water Conservancy, within the valley floor. And so those projects are going well in addition. And then finally, I just say financially, we're in good shape. The balance sheet looks good. We're within budget, within both revenues and operational costs at this point. We're halfway through our fiscal year, and everything looks pretty good that way.
So, if Cedar City ties into the 4,000 gallon tank, does that help them with the pressure problems they've got coming
Yeah.
into town? Does that solve all of them, or just part of it?
So there's kind of some phases they need to do. So first of all, it drastically reduces the pressure, especially at most of the wells that Cedar City has out west of town, Quichapa area. It'll bring down the pressure over 100 psi
Wow.
to tie into that system. The connection will be made at the Y. The Conservancy purchased 20 acres there at the Y a couple years ago. So we'll be able to have a lot of networks of plumbing facilities there, tanks. As Pine Valley comes in as well, we'll probably have a large storage facility there too. And then Cedar City will have to put in 1 or 2 pumping stations as it goes east. So they'll have a couple of different pressure zones. So they're planning on doing staging some additional pressure zones as well.
That's great news.
Yeah, I think the next one or another one that they have planned is by Lund Highway, and then also one where I live in Cross Hollows by the rodeo arena. They're looking at putting a tank there and adding a pressure zone and a pump station there to lift it further from there. So
Good work. That's awesome.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you. Who's next? Jamie.
Hello.
Good morning.
So preparations for the 2026 Iron County Fair are progressing fast, but we're doing really good. We're excited about the things that we have going on this year. We'd like to thank the support from the Commission and the many of the county departments that have stepped in and helped us as we've worked out on the facility out there this year. We did receive one new office staff member that came in June this year, and she's just off and running. She's doing really good. The Fairground Master Plan, we continue to make progress towards the 25-year master plan. Thanks to the mild winter and the outstanding work from maintenance and engineering and the roads department, we were able to complete one of the first of many improvements out of the fairgrounds.
Jamie, could you move that mic closer to you? Sorry. Thanks.
We were able to take out that hill but next to the exhibit building and that brick wall and open it up so we have more space for vendors and just more of a flow going on out there. The fair theme for this year is Rock in the 90s. This year marks the 90th anniversary of the PRCA rodeo, and so we wanted to kind of play off that milestone this year. This year's Grand Marshal is Jerry and Diane Bixman. They have dedicated countless hours to the Iron County Fair and to our community over the years, and we felt it was good to recognize them, and it's well deserved. They started back with Art Wellness during the fair. So Miss Rodeo, we did that pageant in May, and we had a really outstanding court, and Miss Iron County will be held Saturday, August 15th. I would like to thank Karen Entz for all the time and dedications that she has put towards the Miss Iron County pageant. She has stepped down this year, but we're excited about the new directors, Amy Giles and Ashton Zobel. So some of the new events that we've got added to this year's fair we're rolling in one for the dirt games, which Friday will be the sand drags, and then the Saturday will be the mud bogs in the same pit in the same area out there. We're doing the breakaway roping on September 1st, and then we're doing a family fun night at the fair, and that will be September 3rd. And then we have the PRCA rodeo, which is the 4th, 5th, and 7th, and we're bringing in the WPRA for that, so we'll bring in the breakaway and the barrels for that rodeo as well. The Sunday evening program, we're bringing in Sam Wesley. He's a Christian artist and songwriter whose music is rooted in faith and honesty. He is the son of the Mercy Me frontman Bart Miller. Sam grew up witnessing firsthand how music can connect people and something greater. The movie I Can Imagine Too features Sam's story. We're also working on relocating the car show. So it used to be, we've had it at the Lions Park, and so now we're going to try to get it up to the fairgrounds so we have everything all in one area. I think it will be good. Sponsorship support continues to be very strong this year. To date, we have 66 confirmed sponsors, and that includes 5 new sponsors. So while we were out there doing some of the renovations out at the fairgrounds, there was that rock in the middle of the grass, and so we were able to move that out to the entryway going into the exhibit building. And the signs on it were getting pretty broke up and bad, and so a couple of volunteers stepped forward and replaced that for us. So it looks really good out there. We're finalizing the vendors and getting them ready to go. We held the Spanish Trails Rodeo again this year, and it is growing each year. We collaborated with Parowan City for the 4th of July celebration, and we brought in bands and had a nice evening for the American 250th. We are seeing continued growth of the facility. In June, the exhibit building, we hosted 3 different rentals in a single day. So one group came in the morning, and then we had one in the afternoon, and then one in the evening. So it was kind of a busy day, but it's nice to see that the bookings are coming in, and we've got bookings out into next year for some weddings and family reunions. So we look forward to another successful Iron County Fair, and we're grateful for the continued support from the commission and all of the departments and volunteers and support sponsors and everybody. So that's what we've got going.
Very good. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
All right, Spencer. The fire.
Well, we're a little busier than last year, but not by much. So we're doing pretty good. We'll kind of start off. So this is going to go into fire CWS and kind of some of the programs that we got going on with all of that. We'll start with our fire statistics. So this is our incidences from January 1st to July 27th. I ran the report this morning. On unincorporated private lands, we've got 6 fires, or 6 human starts, 3 natural starts for a total of 9 fires on unincorporated private lands, for a total acres of 9.9 acres. And then going into our total Iron County fires, this includes our state and federal lands. We have 38 fires total, and that's including the 9 of the private fires. For a total acres of 3,943.5 acres, and that is excluding the unincorporated acres. And as we go further into this, fires over 5 acres, Christie Lane Fire was our very first large incident at the end of May for 39 acres. It was all on state land. Our sawmill fires, you guys can see on that 3,790 acres. That's where majority of our total acres for acres burned in Iron County this year. Mostly on BLM. There was a little bit of private and a little bit of state, but not by much. And then we had the Burn Mound and Sweat fires, BLM fires. 5 acres, 52 acres, and 44 acres. And the Mound and Sweat fires are the ones that we had over the weekend that caused quite the excitement. Both those fires are contained, and crews just continue to mop them up. Let's go into some statistical causes. Human starts continue to be our number one statistical cause, with the exception of the few lightning fires that we've had the last couple weeks. But highway fires, we have total of 2 starts. Both of these started in the I-15 right-of-ways. They started on state right-of-way, but burned into private land. So Debris fires. We got one. We had one debris fire early on in the season, back in April, and then some other human starts that we've had on unincorporated private land is welding was one of them, and then we have one unknown. We couldn't find the statistical cause on that one, and then one utility. It was a power box, and then 3 natural starts. So going into fire prevention, some of the fire prevention programs we got, there's a lot there, so I'll just kind of highlight. So some community outreach. We've gone to multiple HOA meetings, met with community members in some of the high-risk areas of our county. Cassie, with our community wildfire specialist, she's started a social media outreach, and we've got some good followers following our Iron County Emergency Management page, which is awesome because she's able to add. I think she's up to two wildfire focus messages a week.
What's that called again, Spencer?
It's the Iron County Emergency Management. It's a great page. If you guys aren't following along, she puts up some amazing stuff. It's not just wildfire driven, but we do get a lot of wildland fire messages out there. So kudos to Cassie for getting that going and getting the message out there. And then we continue to do the Life Safety Week back in April with Cedar City Fire. We're successful at that with the second graders. Again, HOA outreach, and then getting our tax bills. So our cabin and homeowner tax bills, we're getting a wildfire message out with that twice a year, I believe. So we're doing good there. So recommendations for prevention areas, and these are the areas that we're going to try to continue to focus on, is debris burning. Trying to continue to educate the public that they do need a permit during certain times of year. And we need to be following the Department of Air Quality's recommendations of no burning trash, things like that. So we continue to focus on debris burning outreach, more training for our local firefighters, try to get them trained and equipped for initial attack. Fire prevention signs, we're currently working with our sign department and getting more signs out. What these signs are going to be is they're more like a kiosk where folks can go actually up to the kiosk and get information with QR codes that'll lead them to different fire prevention websites. Continue with the youth fire safety weeks. Collaborate with local businesses to get more messaging up, like your Mavericks, grocery stores, those establishments, and just more community engagement. Moving on to our CWS budget, because we are halfway through our CWS, which is our cooperative wildfire system with the Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. We have a participation contribution to that. Our participation contribution this year is 811,000 acres, and going through that, we've broke it into 3 categories: prevention, preparedness, and mitigation. Right now, we have spent and continue to spend, meeting our goals of the $150,000 in prevention. We're at 19% total cost right now. Preparedness is, we've allocated 310 acres, and these aren't hard dollars. A lot of these are in-kind hours. We've met the 128,000 spent for 38% of that category. And then going into mitigation, which is our big one, 351,000 is what we allocated. And currently we're at $55 or 55,000 spent, but we actually have some in-kind hours that are going to be totaling that as soon as some of these projects are completed. So we're well on track to having our participation contribution match met for end of year, and continue to work on those. I do want to highlight some of our fuel projects that we have going on, just because we have allocated quite a bit of money to fuels projects. So Antelope Springs, we have completed 280 acres last year and this year, and we are nearing the end of our Antelope Springs project. This is out by Antelope Springs proper, so right on Antelope Springs on the Adams property. It's a high fire prone area, And what this project was a mitigation project or a mastication project where we took machines out and ground a bunch of trees. So 280 acres complete there. Our Braffitts Creek project, it's 46 acres. It's out to bid currently. We have had 5 inquiries on the bid. I'm anticipating when that bid closes August 7th that we'll be able to get that awarded and that project done. And that's going to be in the Braffitts Creek West drainage, and it's going to be a hand treatment. So we're going to be thinning out the pinyon juniper and the mixed conifer up in there. I-15 mowing was a big project that we completed this year with UDOT for a total acres of 250 acres along I-15, which has shown that it's reduced the roadside starts. What we're doing is trying to get the brush component eliminated. They're great at mowing the grass, and we've got the machines to help them mow the heavier brush and get the trees removed. So we've been working with UDOT with that, and we're going to continue to work with UDOT on I-15, Highway 56, and Highway 14 as well. Red Canyon was 5 acres completed. We got that all done. Some of that was our Iron County land that's right at the mouth of Red Canyon, is right off the turnoff. So, but it's completed. Bowery Creek was a project that we partnered with the Forest Service and BLM, and they've got a completed acres of 1,500 acres. Our contribution was about $10,000 to that, and the Bowery Creek project is complete on our end. Burl Fire Station for 2.5 acres. Just mowing some Iron County land around the Burl Fire Station, eliminating some of the rabbit brush and the brush component out there. Landfill, we've got another project out to the landfill. It's 60 acres. It's complete for now. We're going to wait till things kind of moderate as far as moisture before we start grinding again. But the total acres is on that targeted acres is 100. So, but we've got 60 complete, and that was in partnership with Bruce. And they were able to utilize our machines to do that. And then we've got a few other projects that we continue to work, but the one I want to highlight is the county burn projects. So we assist landowners in burning, not just our projects, but some of their NRCS projects as well. And I want to highlight that we completed a lot of those NRCS and landowner assist burns this year. For 569 acres total complete, treated, which is a huge feat since how we didn't have a lot of snow this year. And we were able to still complete 500 acres with no incidents. So it was good. And then we just got some future projects that we're going to continue. Like I said, we got a lot of in-kind hours. I know the commission has asked that we try to, eliminate hard dollars is where we can and utilize in-kind hours and projects that we're already completing to meet those PC contributions. And I think that we're on track to do that. So any questions from the commission? I do want to highlight that all of our fires in Iron County are contained and or controlled as of right now. So even the few fires that we had over the weekend, they've all been contained. So we're looking real good.
I just wish we could figure out a way to spend the mitigation money for prevention on these big fires. I was talking to Matt Wood, former Commissioner Marilyn Wood's husband, and they had that, what was a sawmill fire?
Sawmill fire,
on their place. I think it was 3,600 acres or something, and he just said, let it burn. I mean, it's just pinyon juniper, let it burn. But he was talking to one of the BLM guys, and he said they spent, in one day on fire retardant, they spent $3 million.
Yep.
And add that up over how many days they fought. I mean, you could take that money to go a long ways for chaining, lop and scatter, bull hog, to treat these areas so we can prevent these fires versus mitigate them after. And you look at what's happened to Beaver, it's just heartbreaking what's happened to their county. I mean, I was talking to the commissioners over there, and one of them was telling me that mountain's about 18% of their budget.
Yeah.
So it's
and one good thing, Paul, is we do utilize this PC money for mitigation. It's just that money doesn't go a long ways.
right.
You know, when we're doing mechanical work like the chaining or the bull hogging, we can usually pick them up for pretty cheap, considering acres treated. But then we get into some of these, you know, high risk community areas, especially on our mountain range. You know, the bids are coming in at $2,500, $3,000 an acre. You know, that's just not a lot of, that money doesn't go very far. We're trying to treat some of these big treated, these big high risk areas. PJ, yeah, we can keep grinding, and we're going to continue to do that in the areas that make sense. But yeah, some of these, you know, where these communities are at the most risk, it's a huge feat. We continue to go after grant money and utilize PC where we can.
Is chaining the least expensive with PJ?
Yeah, I would say chaining and grinding are going to be the two cheapest for PJ. Yeah.
Thought grinding was the most expensive. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and actually grinding doesn't cost too much.
Really?
So yeah, we can get a lot of acres treated.
So is our attachment working good that we purchased?
Yep. And where we have our own two machines that do that, I mean, we keep those guys working, you know, throughout the winter, doing that exact work. So
That's awesome.
So yeah, focusing on where our ignitions are, and that's the roadways. That's big. I mean, lightning strikes are one thing, but roadway starts. If we can prevent those human roadway starts from growing large, which are going to impact the communities the most, that's what we're trying to focus on. So, but yeah. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, and a report.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, IT.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Been a fun little couple of months for us in IT. So here's just kind of a list of stuff that we're working on, helping people out with. So as far as GIS side of it goes, you'll see a presentation later on with a whole bunch of others around here about WUI. But Kendall and Bailey have been working really hard on that. So just supporting them in what they're trying to accomplish there. I'm doing the same thing with signs, with the new signs guy that's on. So we're looking at helping him out there as well to kind of bridge that gap, make things easier for inventory and all that. And then also continue to work with the building department. Also kind of just gave them some ideas of ways that we might be able to help them, as we know they're not as familiar with the GIS and what its capabilities are. So we'll kind of keep moving forward with that and see if that really meets what Terry's wanting to accomplish there. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then that's fine as well. And then weeds, we continue to work there as well with Amber, and it's been working really quite well. She's been happy from the reports I've heard back. As far as IT goes, we had Gabe leave us for the sheriff's office and replaced him with Boston. Boston's been doing great. He's caught on really quick and been really happy with what he's done and how fast he's gotten caught up to speed with everything. So our other big things we've done is we're still kind of in the middle of we're at the tail end of this one, but our financial server migration. We've had to migrate from hosted to a cloud situation. It's given us a little bit of fits here and there, but it's working. We're still getting paychecks, so that's always good, and able to pay bills and that. But we're still kind of working out some bugs there. The other big one we're working on is Stats. Stats has changed names, kind of like the Water Conservancy. Stats has gone from CCI to Harris to Realware to now we're into Puma and Cheetah, and now they're officially calling it Stats, and MCAT's kind of got in control over that one. And we're really working hard with them on the personal property side of things to get that tied in, and then the transfer data back and forth from our record software into their software, and then pulling their evaluations into ours, so then we can then send off the billing and everything else. And that's kind of the stage we're at right now with them, is getting that export import in and rolling. So we had some fun with the rolling power outages, as many did. We found that we had some batteries that decided just to go kapoop on us, and so we didn't have that transfer switch. So when it killed a lot of our equipment, so we just had to wait for it to, by killing it didn't die it off, it just cut the power off, so we lost the connection there. So we had to wait for all that stuff to build back up before public safety kind of got back up and running. So since then, we've mitigated those batteries, so now that transfer works and it doesn't actually provide downtime anymore. So, and it was minimal, but we did experience that at the dispatch, the jail, and then our websites as well. They went down because they were part of that system. So we've got internet out at the fair now. Jamie was really good with that part of that plan. She kept me right and informed on it, and worked together with her and got some fiber around to different buildings and some Wi-Fi access points up. And so we're looking forward to seeing how well that helps out, especially with ticketing and gate stuff, as long as with the sign and everything else out there for the PRC rodeo. And we're now in the process of prepping for our public safety server migration. We'll keep that one hosted in-house. So, but that's going to be a big project to start prepping that and getting the specs out and getting the hardware in and getting that ready to go. So those are kind of our big things. So if you have questions for me, great. We're staying busy.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and treasurer, Nicole.
Thank you, madam.
Keep you on the numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first paper that I gave you is our product sales. So that just shows what we've collected since the starting of the year. So we've collected just over 18 million from January to now, which included our personal property, the bulk, I think. There's still some coming in and still some that needs to be billed out. So there should be more coming in with personal property. We've also been working with IT and everyone trying to get the personal property to work a little bit better and trying to clean some stuff up on our side, getting rid of some inactive accounts. So Nicole's been working with the Cheetah people to kind of try to get that cleared up a little bit. So we're hoping we can keep improving. Our second one is just the distribution that's come to just the county, general library health, and our municipal. So we're almost at 3 million so far. Of course, all of our big collections come toward the end of the year. Pool cash report, can see that our cash, we're doing really well. And our fund balances are all nice and doing well. So our PTIF, the interest rate is holding kind of steady. Last time I reported it was like 3.85. It's now 3.89. So it's just staying nice and level. So far in interest, just in our 327 account, we've earned $1,281,000. So we are doing really well there. Our Morton, where we're doing additional investing, our long-term rates are a little bit higher. They've been able to ladder us out farther in years, so we're at about 4.3% with them. So we're doing really well with them. And we've been working with State Bank for a little bit over a year now. And a couple of months ago, they finally voted, and they are now matching the PTIF interest rate. So we're going to be able to keep a little bit of our money here locally and still be earning that good interest rate. So we think it'll be beneficial for them and then also for us. In case we have any immediate money needs, that money will be easily accessed. So we really appreciate State Bank and their willingness to help us out and help themselves out too. So our outstandings doing really well. We're down to 2.8 million. Last year at this same time we were at 3.7. So we're feeling good about that. Tomorrow at 8 a.m. we're having a visit from our state auditor's office. They'll be auditing our financial processes, but also our property tax process. So they'll start with, have some people in the assessor's office some with me, and then some with Luke's office to look at BOE functions, circuit breakers, our tax relief. They want to look at my distributions, RDAs, PIDs. So we will be having them with us tomorrow. So I don't know if you had all heard about the 5 people that lost their lives in the flood. There, Wendy Long is the treasurer in Uinta County. My very good friend. It was her son and his family. So I'll be going up to the viewing and the funeral. So, but just want to make you aware that it was one of our sweet treasures family. So we're mourning with her. My budget is doing super good. Of course, I wait and spend all my money at the end of the year. Then I just want to thank my people. They work super hard and don't do a lot of complaining, and I really, really appreciate everything they do, all the good progress we're making. So, any questions for me?
I have a question, Nicole.
Sure.
What is our PILT funding? Can you remind me what that is nowadays?
It was $4.4 million this
Okay, I
year.
thought it was around 5.
We got it mid-June is when it usually comes in June.
So I attended the NACO conference in New Orleans, and I wanted to go to the public lands. They had an all-day public lands meeting. Jerry Taylor is the chair from Garfield. He does a great job. But one thing that came up in that was a lot of counties across the country want to open PILT up and try to renegotiate. And a lot of the counties, I'm not a voting member on that board, but I was in the meeting, and a lot of our commissioners from Utah voted against that. They're afraid if they open it up, they might lose it. So it was really a close vote. But there's a lot of counties like I say, in the country that want to renegotiate, and others in our counties in Utah say no, let's not
rock
the boat. Yeah, because it's even though we don't get a lot, it's better than
better than
nothing.
them taking it away.
And every year it's up for discussion. So it's a worrisome thing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, just thought I'd.
Yeah, they did on the downwinders. They did actually increase that to $100,000 from $50,000. So for the next year, so we've been doing a ton of claims, providing them with tax information. So you never know. Sometimes they're willing to increase a little bit, but I don't know. There is more of a vibe to cut right now. So yeah, that would be a real worry.
And that. Well, and I'll talk about it in my report, but anyway, it's a constant battle to teach these eastern states what PILT is and why it's necessary for us in the West. So
yeah, they don't have that worry the way that we do. So, but okay. Well, thank you guys.
thanks.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to commission reports. Mike, you want to go ahead and start us out?
Yeah, so find my glasses. So we had in regards to our jail, we had a beam signing ceremony, which is a big deal. It's the last structural beam that goes into the project. They painted it red, white, and blue like a flag to honor the flag, and those that have been involved in the construction and everything else got to sign that beam, and it was put into place. We had our Council on Governments meeting. There was an issue that came up in there as far as zoning and what's the word I'm looking for? I'm struggling this morning. Annexation with the cities. That's said that we'd we would be happy to have those discussions moving forward. I want to thank everybody for July 4th. There were firework bans in the county. Paraguna, Parowan, Canaraville all had bans from their cities. And for the most part, people honored those. I don't know that we had any real fireworks related fires. Can you confirm that for me, Spencer? Fireworks related?
I mean, we had a few in the city, but nothing out in the unincorporated.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we didn't have any problems on this end of the county. I was in this end of the county those nights, and like there was not even a firework lit during the 4th of July, and very few during the 24th, even though that ban had been lifted for these municipalities. Just want to really thank everybody for that. It's pretty treacherous out there, and this was important, and everybody kind of followed. Cedar City has on their CATS buses, a couple of CATS buses are wrapped with the Cedar City Bryan Head Iron County tourism marketing stuff. We're happy to work together with those guys. I had the opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. With our tourism. We also had, saw Cassie come in. Cassie was with us. We had meetings with the Forest Service. We were able to provide information, just lobbying for forest health and wildland fire. Our information told that Deputy Secretary of the Interior, Kate McGregor, was briefed on that information. We had a meeting with House Natural Resources, Chairman Bruce Westerman's staff. We had a meeting with Senator Curtis to discuss or fix our forest, what we can do to maybe help push that legislation forward. Maria was able to speak with some tour operators there, kind of coordinating ideas for international travel. And with all these meetings falling into place, we took our USS Iron County flag with us, and got some major strings pulled, we come to find out, and we're able to fly that flag over the U.S. Capitol. But we were able to, usually when they fly a flag over the U.S. Capitol, they clip it on a thing, run it up the pole, run it back down. For instance, on July 4th, they flew over 6,000 flags on July 4th.
Busy.
Over the Capitol. They're usually up there for about a second. They don't even have a second clip. They just clip one corner, run it up, run it down. And nobody's allowed on the roof to do that. They just have people that do that. We were allowed to go on the roof with the architect of the Capitol. We actually tied our flag. It spent about 20 minutes flying over the U.S. Capitol. That was just a cool sideline, to talk about the forests and stuff, but that turned out to be really cool. Chief Tom Schultz from the Forest Service, who's the executive director of the Forest Service, and Chairman Bruce Westerman were in Beaver this last Saturday in person. Basically as a follow-up discussion with what we met with their staffs in DC, to see firsthand, what we're dealing with as far as wildland fire, flood, forest management. That's just really critical. Those are the decision makers that manage the policy that goes along with what we're dealing with. There's some other stuff. Those are the highlights.
Thank you. Paul, you ready?
Sure.
So
we had our Board of Health and Steering Committee meetings this last while. Those went well. They're always good to meet with Five County and talk about different issues. I just wanted to talk about on the August 11th, it's a Tuesday, is the Congressional Briefing Ride at Bryce Canyon. And just for those that aren't aware of it, it's what they do is they go back and they get a lot of the congressional staffers, and they maybe chiefs of staff or other people that are involved in decision making in DC. A lot of the eastern folks that don't know a lot about western lands, and as we talked about PILT funding with Nicole, PILT's always on the chopping block, and it's kind of scary if we lost $4 or $5 million funding in Iron County. It would be devastating to our budget, and it's a little spooky that we have to lobby for that every single year. They have a PILT fly-in where a lot of I've only been once, but a lot of commissioners fly back and lobby Congress and to refund PILT. But this congressional ride, they start out in Salt Lake on a bus with these staffers. They bring them down through Utah, show them different sites. They end up at Bryce Canyon, and I've done this quite a bit. But we get on side by sides and right up to Powell Point, where you can look out over the Escalante Valley, and it really opens their eyes to the vastness of what we're dealing with in the West, and the just the broad amount of government-owned lands and what we're dealing with in this part. And it's been really effective over the years to help us with PILT funding and those kind of things. I'll be going on that. This last week, I traveled to Salt Lake. I was invited. There's a Dave Robinson up there that's working. There's Little and Big Cottonwood Canyons that are really dense. They're just a tinderbox waiting to happen. There's about 40% of Salt Lake City's watershed comes from those two canyons, and they're just ripe for a fire. This Dave Robinson showed us some private land where they're going to do kind of a trial run of doing some major thinning, and they say that the trees up in those canyons are 600 to 800 trees per acre. A healthy forest should be about 60 trees per acre. The problem is there's a lot of people that are fighting thinning and forest management in those canyons, and those canyons happen to be the watershed that feeds the Great Salt Lake. So if they were actually, if they could actually, a lot of studies have been done, if they could actually reduce the trees, which are that many straws into the aquifer, in about 5 years, it would naturally fill the Great Salt Lake without spending billions and trillions or whatever they're trying to throw at that problem. But they're going to do some private areas up there to show what can be done. The problem right now is if you cut, even with that many trees that they have, if you remove a tree, I think it's in either one of the canyons, if you remove a tree, even on private land, they make you replace it with 2. If the tree is very big, they make you replace it with 10. And so that's kind of the problem they're facing up there. While I was up there, we also went up to Park City and there was a gentleman up there by the name of Alan Savory. He's 90 years old. He's worked his whole life, and he grew up in over, I can't remember where the country he's from, but he spent a lot of time in Africa and over in those countries, and he does a lot with holistic management of soils, and he's pretty much proven throughout his life that animals are good for the land. The more the better. It's better to have concentrated cattle and sheep and deer and elk and those kind of things. He talks a lot about the desertification, where the land's gone dry and non-productive with grasses, and he's pretty much spent his whole life studying this, and he basically argues that using dense moving livestock to mimic wild herds can reverse desertification and restore degraded grasslands. And so it's just another argument of how effective our agriculture producers are on our public lands, and how important that is to the process with their feces and just the disturbance of the soils, and how good that is for the land. It was very fascinating, that trip. I worked a lot this last couple weeks on some issues with the health department regarding septic in industrial areas. I think we've got a handle on that. Frank, I hope that we've made some progress there. Talked about that a lot. We had a meeting this last week with E3. It's another inland port type company that's looking to come out by WECO, and it's about an 800 acre project that's talking about coming in. We had a good discussion with them. We had a water hauling meeting. So water hauling in Five County used to be regulated by Five County in the Five County Health Department. We've decided to split that up and let each county decide their own fate. I worked this week a little bit on an ordinance. I met with Brett and Terry and talked about coming up with an ordinance in Iron County that works, that preserves private property rights, but yet protects municipalities or towns like Bryan Head, where they're trying to develop their infrastructure with water and sewer, where they don't want a lot of septic tanks. They want to try to encourage folks to hook up to the utilities. And it's just kind of a hard balancing act to do both, but working through that. We'll continue to work on that water hauling ordinance, and that I assume Brett will go to the planning commission eventually, right? And then come to us. And so we'll have further discussion on that. We had a kind of an emergency UAC call regarding auditing the state tax commission, but they're going to kind of do it through counties. Honestly, it was above my pay grade. I didn't really understand it that well, but some of the counties were a little bit concerned about the way they were going to do it. But I was on that call and listened to that. But I guess like Nicole said, they're coming down to audit her. I think the state auditors becoming very active in the counties and working through that. Been working with, talking a lot with Speaker Schultz on forest management and what we can do to do more more prevention versus mitigation on these lands with the Forest Service. And a lot of us these I hate to say environmental groups, because I think the best environmentalists are our ranchers and ag folks that use the land. They're the closest land, are our best environmentalists. They know how to take care of it and use it properly. But over the years, and it seems like it started back in the early 90s, when the lawsuits started flying, and it put all the sawmills out of business, which were our gardeners that kept our forests clean. And they did it for free. In fact, they paid to remove that timber, and disturbing that landscape within the forest and removing that deadfall and those fuels was a critical element to healthy forests. And now we see what's happening with beaver, and we have to figure this out. We have to get a handle on it and figure out how to somehow keep these lawsuits from happening, so that we can fire up sawmills. I talked to Bryce Dalton from Circleville. He's a lifetime logger, and he said, Paul, what they need to do is the Forest Service needs to guarantee 20-year contracts on timber sales, so that they know they have material to use, so that they can take the money and invest back into infrastructure, into the sawmills, and so they can go in and start cleaning our forests out again, so we don't end up with these disasters that cost billions of dollars to clean up. And that is, Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Thank you. So I attended the planning and zoning meeting that was held at the first of the month, and that item, there was only one item on the agenda, and that's on our agenda today. I also attended a Coal Creek Town public meeting. Out in the valley, there's a group of people that want to make a Coal Creek Town. The Lieutenant Governor sponsored a meeting at Three Peaks Elementary School, and they presented some information about that, the fiscal viability of it, and there was some misinformation presented at that meeting. I'll just leave it at that. Attended the jail meetings. As Mike said, we had topping off event that they called it, and put in the last structural beam into the building. Cooked burgers for everybody that was there. I think we cooked close to 200 burgers, if I remember right. It was a good crowd, so it was a great event. I had another meeting with the Sheriff's Department and Cedar City Police Chief and the Highway Patrol and Bruce Anderson, our Public Works Director, about abandoned trailers and abandoned vehicles and the problems that are being presented there. People are just abandoning equipment, and none of the tow companies want to go get it because it doesn't pay. And so we're working through some issues there to mitigate that and keep going there. Had another meeting with the sheriff and Sheriff's Department, county attorney, about some issues on the Comstock Road and usage of the Comstock Road and what's permitted there and what needs to be done there. In the ICOG meeting that Mike mentioned, one of the issues that was brought up was the sewer tie-ins were the agreement between Cedar City and the county were maxing out the number of tie-ins that are going to be allowed onto that, and so Cedar City's wanting to renegotiate that. And then through the fires that have been going on in Beaver, we've allocated some track hose, some excavators up there to help before the floods came, and then after the floods came, there's been a dozer up there to help. I don't even know where he went. Bruce, where did he go?
We're in the canyon.
Up in the canyon to clear that out.
Can we have Bruce come up for a minute?
Yeah, if you want to come and talk about what we sent up there and their experience. And
Bruce, I saw a video of it looked like a pretty new track hole, cat, just covered with mud. I don't know if it ruined it but it worries me. I mean, you got to do it right, but having our equipment up that canyon there and having another one of those floods come down, what are we? And I think it's great that we're helping our neighbors.
That's a valid question. You're absolutely right. So we are the last, the Beaver City's ahead of us, and we're following their lead. We started out helping the county. We took a track over there before the flood and tried to clear as much as we could. We spent, I want to say, 5 days over there. Come to find out, what we did was, I guess it helped, but there was just so much material that came down.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know how you would ever try to mitigate that. So right now, they're watching. They have people that are, if it starts to rain or anything, we just get to higher ground really fast. But they've got 3 other 8s. An R8 from the landfill is over there. We got 2 guys that are working it. But if something goes bad, then we get them out of there.
You just,
and
then
we
it
don't
starts
let
raining,
them run.
you get them.
Yeah, we got good operators, and our operators are smart, and so we sent them over. They'll probably be there at least this week, and hopefully they can get a lot done. They've got, you guys all witnessed what happened in Flying L. It's that times 1,000. I've been on the phone with their landfill director. They typically do 11,000 tons in a month, and they had 3,000 in one day. So if they really bring everything there, it's going to fill their landfill to capacity. They've got issues that they don't even know about yet, and I've been coaching and helping as
So their
much as we
landfill's
can.
not very.
It's just set up
Capacities.
for their. So I did a study, I think it was like 4 years ago, and Beaver County produces less trash per person than any of the 5 counties. So they just got a real tight knit, small, but they have a private hauler, and their private hauler has gone on vacation. And I said, well, we got roll-offs and trucks that we can send over. Once they declared that emergency, then they can change a few things. But I've been on the phone with them about every day, so trying to help.
Well, I think it's great. We're helping them.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd do that for us, and
Yeah.
I think it's neat that we can help each other as counties in these.
Sure, we
emergencies.
have an interlocal agreement with them too. So
Thank you for doing
Yeah.
that.
so I was able to go to Beaver on Saturday and participate in the service project up there. I took my tractor and just volunteered and just drove up the canyon and found somebody that needed help and spent till about 2 o'clock up there at several different homes, and it was incredible. There was an army of equipment. And volunteers that it was cool to see. But the devastation is unreal. Like Bruce said, they cleared out areas, but when the debris just came to a bridge, it just plugged it up, and there was no stopping it at that point. The bridges just were not big enough to take the flow that came down, and then it just made its own channel, and just scattered from there. But the infrastructure that they've lost is going to be millions and millions of dollars and years to rebuild. At several of the diversions that I saw that feed their irrigation system, they're destroyed, and the river bottom that used to feed into them was 8 feet below. So it's devastating.
Did it take out bridges?
In the small area that I was in, I did not see a bridge that had been taken out. They all stayed, but the debris just went around them and into the homes and into the area there. So pretty wild to see. Pretty wild to see what went on.
So in the future, Bruce, could they have or was it so high that in hindsight, could they have trackles at those bridges like we've done, where you just keep them clean, or not really? It wouldn't have helped.
Just so much. There's one that's 30 feet deep, and it came over the top of that. Wow. It didn't really take any bridges out, but I'm sure that it compromised some of the integrity.
Right.
And the rails and the fencings on the side are gone. They're mostly gone.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
They got a big job ahead of them.
That's all I've got. So it's 10 after the hour right now. We'll go ahead and start back up at 20 after the hour. We're live? All right. Thank you for attending. We'll go ahead and get started back up. Appreciate your patience. Go to agenda item number 1, a public hearing, discussion and possible denial of a proposed development agreement amendment, ordinance 2026-17 between Iron County and Equestrian Trails Ranch LLC, request to allow a maximum of 64 twin home units within the master plan subdivision located between 4,000 North and 4,600 North and 3,700 West and 4,400 West, Cedar City, Utah. Applicant is Equestrian Trails Ranch LLC. That will guide us on this.
Morning, Commissioners. So there's an exhibit there showing the directions there that Commissioner Robinson outlined, but right there on 4,000 North, generally southwest of Mid-Valley Road and Lund Highway, to get you in the vicinity there. So here's the properties outlined. Again, total property acreage amongst all the properties owned by the property owners, about 264 acres. So that dashed line going through the property, that is the future Cedar Valley Belt Route. As you can see, current zoning on the property is residential half acre. And then there's some R1, RA20 surrounding the property as well. So again, the request is to amend the existing development agreement that they have for the project. That came through to the County Commission in February of this year. So the proposal is to allow some attached twin home units within the development. They would be limited to a maximum of 32 buildings, so 64 total units. The total amount of units within the development is 528. So that is basically the 264 acres times by 2 to get an average density across the development, which would remain at the average of half acre. So there's going to be some that are, half acre lots, some that are acre lots, and then some that are smaller acre lots, so 10,000 square foot lots. And with these twin homes, each twin home lot would be proposed to be a minimum of 5,000 square feet. So again, that's really kind of the difference between a twin home and a duplex, is really just ownership structure. So a townhome would be one building on one lot owned by one person, so 2 units owned by the same entity, whereas a twin home that's proposed here, it is one building, but it's on separate lots, so the intent is to have separate ownership of the 2 different units on 2 different lots. So again, overall density would remain unchanged. This would not add any additional units to what has already been approved with the 528 maximum. It would just be removing some of those other lots and substituting them with these twin home units, so that the total cap would still remain at the 528, or overall density of 2 units per acre. So some of the things that we're taking into consideration with it, and just to look at, is, obviously this introduces a housing product that is currently not within county ordinances right now. So that's just one consideration to look at. Does it provide any additional expanded benefits? Obviously, the reason why that's a consideration is looking at section 1742 of the code. That's the development code section. And it really just talks about the purpose of a development agreement and, what the benefits are. So really just looking at it from the perspective of, does the request to allow, a separate product type, is there anything additional within the development agreement that provides benefits for the community? Additional considerations: does it advance, any specific goals or outcomes that the county has? Does it help advance, what the county's overall vision is? Should the twin homes be allowed in unincorporated areas? Should it be done through maybe a larger, county-wide thing versus looking at specific development agreements? And that's not necessarily something that would be part of consideration for today, but obviously just kind of bigger picture, I think, is it something that if we do want to allow it, if we don't want to allow it, do we do it more at a broader county-wide scale? And then again, is this change in the housing form, is it consistent with the county's long-term goals? So these slides just go through and highlight all of the development agreement changes, just identifying where twin home lots have proposed to be added in. So here it talks about the definition for twin home, what it is, and then just some additional language on specific development requirements. So there's some additional requirements for parking, additional things with setbacks, with CC&Rs that would be governed, because there are some unique things related to twin homes that are being addressed here in these sections. So this just gives again a quick overview of a portion of the overall 264 acres. So we've got the belt route that runs through here again. This is phase 1. These are half-acre plus lots. This is 48 of those, so those are in process. So this is phase 2. It's 15 lots. This is just off of 4400 West here. And then we'll zoom in on this phase 2 portion here to kind of give an example of what they're looking at doing. So these 4 lots here, 60 through 63, you can kind of identify all those there, about 11,000 plus square feet. And so they would propose, to kind of split those, have a twin home unit on there, and then that dashed line is generally identifying, where that twin home lot would be split, where you'd then kind of break it into 2 different units. So the overall intent is to have those twin home lots line the belt route. So there's nothing specific in the development agreement language currently that specifies and identifies where they are, but that is the intent of what they would want to do. So these are some of the folks that we've received public comments from. You guys were all CC'd in all those emails that I forwarded over, so you've probably seen all those. But again, kind of, I think the overall highlights that the public identified was just water and aquifer concerns, infrastructure timelines, and then the preservation of low-density rural atmosphere. And so I think a lot of the concerns that were brought up originally, when the development agreement was discussed. So some of those things we did talk through at Planning Commission and just talked about where, what water rights need to be obtained. Again, that each twin home unit it would be 2 connections because it's 2 units. So just identifying some of those things, talking about infrastructure. For that phase 2, again, obviously it's over there on 4400 West, so that road would have to be chip sealed all the way south and all the way east to tie into where the existing chip seal is. So we kind of talked through and walked through some of those infrastructure concerns that were had, but I think I skipped a slide there. But nonetheless, any questions for me before we jump into a public hearing?
So what utilities do they have existing in the area?
So there is water from Cedar Valley Water Conservancy that is on 4000 North and also up 4400 West. So it kind of borders the site there. So they would receive water through the Conservancy District. And then there are sewer lines on 4000 North and 3700 West as well that the project would tie into.
I don't have any other questions. I don't have any questions.
Okay, we'll open a public hearing. Anybody that wishes to speak to this, approach the mic and state your name, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Beverly Flood. And just a few points. First of all...
You pull the mic down.
Beg your pardon?
Pull the microphone down.
Oh, I'm short. Sorry. First of all, never before in the unincorporated Iron County have twin homes been allowed. So in knowing that, if this policy were approved, it would set a dangerous precedent. Those of us, and unfortunately a lot of my neighbors aren't here, but they did email, etc., we're RA20s up there. So this is just abutting to all the RA20s. And Mr. Cousins, I appreciate what you said before about the rural areas and the importance of livestock and the replenishing of the lands and that sort of thing, because that all ties in to what we want to preserve, which is as much of the rural lifestyle as we want, and still acknowledging that there's going to be growth which is inevitable. But we'd like to see that this is going to stay preserved and not march up on the hill, because now we've allowed, or the developer has allowed twin homes into that development, which should be equestrian. Twin homes, the other thing is these twin homes represent 12% of the development. And it would become, the 12% would become the tail wagging the dog, because these twin home owners are not equestrian-minded people. So the future, in my opinion, would look like they would start complaining about the bridle trails with horse manure, complaining about the flies. And pretty soon there's this big hoorah going on within a community that there shouldn't be. They should all be of like-mindedness. And so with that, you know, the name in itself, Equestrian Trails Ranch, the proposal does not align with the intended development or the residential character of the unincorporated county areas. So,
Thank you.
Good morning, Dallas Buckner, Go Civil. So this request is something that is the point of it not being allowed within the county. I think that within the R4K zone, the county does allow townhomes. We are proposing twin homes, and the reason we picked twin homes was to promote single ownership. We've got the layout. So where we're at in the process, we have approval on phase 1. We have what I would call technical approval, where we've received Cedar City Sewer, water, and county approval. And then the developer wanted to request this amendment for twin homes. And so we have technical approval, and then it's just a question of are we putting the twin home line in, or these single family lots? The overall layout of the subdivision, we have that 500 number. We have the majority of our lots are half acre to 1 acre or greater. And so when we talk about moderate income housing, this was a way to try to generate some, because half acre and single and 1 acre lots or greater aren't typically associated with moderate income housing. And so we've proposed them in adjacent to and in close proximity to the belt route. If it made a difference to the commission for us to put a restriction to keep them within a certain distance, like 300 feet within the belt route, we would be willing to do that. But when we talk about putting this in to this project, we're trying to concentrate it to the interior so that it doesn't impact the neighbors. The overall number of housing is still the same within what's allowed within the original development agreement. And so this change doesn't generate more traffic or anything of that nature. And so it's really truly just a one-to-one. It's just, is it a single lot or is it a twin home? But we felt like this was an ask that makes sense, knowing that the county and just Utah in general is trying to promote the moderate income housing. And then the other thing is that this is not a standalone project that we're putting adjacent. This is incorporated within. And so one of the points that I made at the Planning Commission is that it's the developer's overall project, that he's putting this in at his own risk, and he believes that that it's worth doing. And so it's not like just a standalone isolated project. And the last point was just that where we have the belt route there, and the whole reason that this project is where it is because there is water, there is sewer, there's going to be a belt route. And so although if you look at it today, it is further from the city center, with the belt route coming in, there's the infrastructure there to handle it, or will be. And then the last question I was going to ask the commissioners, that is not necessarily tied to this, but on the belt route itself, I've had some discussions with Commissioner Cousins and some other meetings, but we do have a belt route right-of-way that we're discussing dedicating to the county and whether there could be a land swap. And we've talked with staff, and I've talked to Commissioner Cousins, and we're trying to get some clarity as far as whether we need to have that in a public meeting with the commissioners, or if we can work with staff on that as far as if we can land swap or if the county purchases it.
Sammy.
I think the question was where it's really close to each other. The land,
Yeah, so the
should
county,
be really close to the same value.
Yeah, so the county owns a 20-acre parcel that's adjacent to this, and our roadway and our belt route road dedication includes the county's portion for the county and the portion through ours. And so I know the county has purchased some belt route right of way, and they've put a big emphasis on securing that right of way. And with this project, we're saying, hey, we can do the full dedication, but what is the process of county purchasing it versus lands that are immediately adjacent to us? Can we do a land swap? And what's the proper forum to have those discussions with? Is it the public meeting? Is it working with staff?
Sure. So, John, you can speak to some land acquisition as well, but from my perspective, a land swap is doable. It does require a little more interaction and public input, commission approval, whereas if we were to do a purchase via those belt route funds, that might be a little more streamlined, but there are options available for both. I would think that the swap, though, would require a little more time and just approval, but it's doable.
Does it require appraisals, or where it's right next to each other? It does, even no matter what it requires. Okay.
Yeah, and I think we would just want to make sure it was properly, executed as a contract and identify not only the value but what's being exchanged.
Okay.
And I think the other question would be whether under what circumstances we might be able to use corridor preservation funds. We'd have to work with the auditor's office on that.
Right. And
if money did change hands.
right. On the land swap, anytime we dispose of county property, it requires a public hearing, but otherwise, I'm comfortable saying that it seems likely we would be able to use the corridor preservation funds.
Okay.
But in any event, those are our two options.
So because we have the belt route right-of-way dedication put together for both our piece and the county's piece all in one map, and so we have it all signed, and we've just asked staff to not record it yet so that we could have those discussions. So as far as where we're at in the process, we've got right-of-way from 4,000 to 3,700 delineated on a map that's more or less ready to record. But we'd like to have those discussions and find out what that process is as far as acquisition. But it sounds like we would continue to work with staff on that and then bring something before the commission.
Yeah, and I think you'd want eventually a proper agreement drafted, and
Okay.
it might be a little bit of administrative doing and a little bit of time, but certainly seems like it's worth pursuing.
Okay. All right. Appreciate the sidebar. But
No, that's doable.
okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for me? No.
I don't think so. Thanks, Dallas.
The rest of my 3 minutes.
Sure.
Go ahead, Drew.
Just a couple of other points that I didn't get to. Dallas talked about, the benefit of having a lower income housing structure within this development. To that, I'd like to point out that in the real estate world, a lesser valued homes drags down the value of the other homes. Not to mention, another factor to consider would be these will be investors most likely purchasing these twin homes and renting them out, et cetera, because it's in such close proximity to the rock crawls and everything else that's going up to Three Peaks. So, as we all have experienced, rentals don't necessarily make for a wonderful, community. But the mixed use of non-equestrian and equestrian is a recipe for disaster. And I think that's one reason, among others, that the Planning Commission had voted unanimously to turn down this proposal. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks. I just want to, Bruce Anderson, Iron County Public Work Director. I just want to express my opposition to this, just based on getting in and available to, if you drive by any duplex, townhome, whatever you want to call them, you go down Iron Springs Road where they are, or not Iron Springs, Lund Highway, you go down 30,000 West by the bowling alley. There's cars parked on the side of the road, and it just makes it hard to maintain, plow roads, any of that kind of stuff. The way the city, county, and state road are funded is through A, B, and C funds. A funds are for freeways, Highway 56, things like that. B funds are for the county, and they've been typically for, like Lund Highway, a road, a straight through road, no curb, no gutter. We're not designed in the county to have subdivisions. Most counties, and I like that Dallas says, hey, this is going to be, let's incorporate and move evenly out. If it should have been, these things need to go into a city so they can be maintained by the city. The city's budget for roads and maintenance is double mine. When you go and say there's curb and gutter, I've got to sweep these streets. 500 more houses is a minimum 1,500 more people that are calling me on the phone saying you're not doing what you need to do. And I don't have the ability to do it because this county is not set up as a city. And so I just want you guys to understand that. Thank you.
Morning, gentlemen. Sam Williams. I represent the Equestrian Trails Project. I appreciate Bruce's comments. As Dallas has noted, we're not increasing the density there, so the curb, gutter, sidewalk, streets, all of that infrastructure is going to be in place either way. And there has been some great points raised, and I appreciate that. But we feel like in this project, it's a great opportunity to have transitional space between that belt route, a very busy highway, and kind of your, more rural housing. And so that's kind of the reason we'd set that out. And then also, we're using this project as kind of a test bed for a new product. I'm working with James Harker with the InnovaCast for a new concrete home product that we're building, and he needs to try out these different models. So this is an integral part for a test run for that product for us to incorporate there. We feel like we're going to be able to address some housing affordability with a very high quality and affordable product that will expand throughout the county and throughout the country. So that's one element to that.
Can you expound on that construction model a little bit?
Sure.
Of what you're doing?
Yeah, it's a concrete home, so it's a home that's cast in a form with the encapsulated insulation core with all of the conduits, electrical, plumbing, everything is incorporated in the wall, so you have a very long-lasting. Jimbo might have. You don't have the twin home one? No. But really, this home looks very similar to the ones that are next to it. We're not looking for a ton of these on this project, but it does. It lowers that threshold for the cost for somebody to get into a home, and at the same time, I think it's going to look very in line with the surrounding community. There's a couple other points. I know on the belt route, the property swap that he raised, I think that's a good point. Even on some of my other projects I'm working on, we need to think about methods for acquiring that property, and maybe land swap I figured might be good for the county if they wanted to preserve those funds for other property purchases along that corridor. I would be willing to do the property swap. So when we get thinking about that, I do have multiple other projects further down to the south that are on this belt route as well. So this conversation could lead into some others as well. I think that's about it for me. Any questions? Thank you.
Oh.
Any other comments?
I'm Frank Nichols. I'm a developer. I'm not involved in this development, but what I'm concerned about affordability of housing. Iron County has housing shortage in the affordability category. Right now, we're relegating our young families to live in high-rise apartments and density that's beyond belief. I think if a young family can have one side of a twin home, and they have some dirt and they have a garden, it'd be a great thing. She mentioned that the investors are going to buy these up. I don't think this is a great investment for people to buy recreation vehicles or recreation stuff at all. But I think we got to get our eyes open about what's happening in Iron County. We have a greater community that goes from New Harmony to Paraguna, and we're all working in the same pool. We're buying groceries in the same place, going to the same doctors. We got to look up at this thing. In spite of the fact that we'd like to be rural on 20 acres forever, it's not happening. Iron County is getting urbanized, and we need a greater plan. And this is just a little tiny solution to a gigantic problem we've got. I don't want my grandkids to live in an high-rise apartment to be raised there. If they can have some dirt under their fingernails, I think it's a great thing. And so I think we support this and support more of it. Any questions?
Thank you, Frank.
Any other comments? So, as I said earlier, I attended the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and spoke out against this. I don't think it's a good idea to open this door up and change our zoning and change what we're going to do in our county. At the ICOG meeting, both mayors of Cedar City and Enoch expressed concern with these kinds of developments and annexing them into their cities, and that the county was not doing these developments in the same style that they wanted them done in for further annexation. And so that's a concern when they start to expand out towards these areas also. So, and then with Bruce's comments of the turmoil that brings to his position and the stress that puts on us as a county, those are my thoughts on it. So we'll declare the public hearing.
Oh, we can declare it closed, then we can comment after.
Okay.
Public hearing's closed.
So any other comments? All right, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Any comments?
Couple thoughts I had. I mean, you're looking at 1/2 to 1 acre lots, which gives you a huge buffer to adjoining properties. That's a positive in my view. I know this is setting a precedent, but I also am very interested in low-income housing or affordable housing. I think our kids need they can't go from zero to $500,000 home. They've got to go to zero to a $300,000 home and have a stepping grade where they can live in a more affordable house. They can build equity in that house and then maybe move up down the road. So I actually support this.
Well, I think just a couple of points. This is a project. This is a project subdivision that's already been approved, where we're not increasing overall residency. We're not increasing the density. Just a couple of things. When you look at that map, with this small area adjacent to the belt route, that's, adjacent property to the belt route's not going to be great for livestock or animals anyway. I've actually had an opportunity to tour an Novacast home. In fact, our building department, Sam was with us. I think that's a great solution for that area. Just, the same things. We've got to look at moderate income housing. I think that this is an appropriate I think this is an appropriate spot to put this type of development. It's, in my mind, it's much better than townhomes. That's
Any other comments? Okay, Brett?
Yeah, nothing extra for me unless you had any more questions.
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Nope. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd move to approve the proposed development agreement amendment, ordinance 2026-17, between Iron County and Equestrian Trails Ranch LLC, request to allow a maximum of 64 twin home units within the master plan subdivision located between 4,000 North, 4,600 North, and 3,700 West, and 4,400 West.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay. Okay, we'll go on to agenda item number 2. It's public comments. 3-minute time limit per speaker for public comment. Participants should not repeat other comments, only for items that are not on the agenda. And no items related to commission's role as an appeals board. Comments should be directed to the commission, and no attacks on other people's character. Anybody have comments that are not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on. Agenda item number 3 is going to be put on a
Future meeting.
another meeting down the line. So we'll move on to agenda item number 4. Discussion and possible approval to use county roads for an off-road event held August 28th through the 30th, 2026, requested by Donald Jackson of Legacy Racing.
Morning, Commissioners. As stated, we have an off-road race planned for August 29th and 30th, which is Saturday, Sunday. This will be the 6th year running of this event out of Iron Springs. Been very positive atmosphere the last couple of years from our participants and all those involved with the event. Permission is asked to close Comstock Road for both of those days from roughly 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then we'll open the road after we're done using Comstock for the evening traffic and whatnot, and then close it the following day for the next day's event. We've been coordinating with the rancher Mel Clark that runs cattle out there because he's been having to run water just because of the drought conditions. So coordinate with him to make sure he can get water in and out to his cattle. Have talked to both the gravel operations that use that road, and they are not working on the weekend, so there's no conflict with those folks as long as the road's available for them on Monday, which we plan on fixing Sunday evening to make it usable for them. That road typically doesn't get tore up very bad because it is a very hard base road, so it's just kind of brushing the rocks back off the road so they can get their trucks in and out. I've also talked to Bruce about that, and his concern was Mel Clark, making sure he can get water in there. That was the only concern he had with that portion of Comstock. We also run down Antelope Road, 2 different locations. That road remains open to the public. We just put a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit for our participants so residents can get in and out. It's just like having two-way traffic on the road. Our participants use the right side of the road and just maintain it's open, but that's the only access we have to a few portions of the race route is by using Antelope. But again, it stays open to the public.
What are you racing?
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, bikes, quads, and UTVs.
Okay.
So on Saturday it'll be the bikes and quads racing, and then on Sunday is the UTVs. The reason we broke it into 2 days this year is we've teamed with a company out of northern Utah that put on bike races only, and they get a very large turnout. So we're anticipating about 170 bike entries, and with that many entries, we don't think we can squeeze everything in one day. So we're going to bump our UTVs to Sunday. That's what we're asking for the 2 days. We start and finish there at Iron Springs. It's about a 60-mile loop, as Jonathan has the map pulled up. And We crossed the Iron Springs Road twice. The first time is just north of Iron Springs. And then we go over to the Antelope. Then when we come back in for our finish line, we cross it again. And then we also cross right there at the railroad tracks that goes to Weco. At all three of those locations, we have flagmen. We put up signage warning the public. We stop the traffic on the road, let our participant cross in a 25-mile-an-hour speed zone, and then let the traffic continue to flow. It's usually only like a 10, 15-second delay maybe to the traffic on the highway. And then we're also coordinating with Gordon that runs your volunteer posse on having event staff from them there if possible. I know they have a conflict with the Demolition Derby the same weekend, so they may or may not be able to help us out. Regardless, we have flag teams there and signage. So we man the crossing. They typically just have their folks there with their lights on to help provide some extra visibility to the event. But we've had no conflicts with just our flag teams running it when they haven't been able to help us in the past. We did send the insurance over to Jonathan, so you've got that. And we're working on the emergency action plan. If we get approved for the 2-day event, then we'll get that finalized and get that sent over. But we'll have 3 medical teams on site with fire suppression. I know that was a concern last year. Thankfully, we got a lot of rain on the day of the event. And, talking with Chief Phillips on that, he's like, I don't think there's a need for us to come out. I know it was expressed that maybe we had them as on a standby. Just from our side, it is a little bit expensive. I know he did a really good job of trying to keep the rate down, but it could turn into about a $4,000 bill just to have them on standby, where our medical trucks have water and suppression on board and are able to do kind of like a rapid response truck because they are upfitted for that. So if you can take that into consideration. And any questions for me on the route or any other concerns?
Donald, could you tell us about
Spencer,
your...
you got any?
Sorry.
Oh, I'm good. You're meeting our concern from last year. We're going to have those same concerns this year. So.
Okay.
Hopefully the rain shows up again.
Pray for rain.
Will you tell us about your communications plan?
Yeah, so all of our volunteers have radios on the ground, and then we put a guy on, I think it's called Iron Mountain, up there above the Black Iron Mine. And he's like a repeater, so all the traffic goes through him, and then he relays it out. Or if their radio fails, they have cell phones, and for the ones that don't have cell service, which is very rare out there, a lot of people have Starlinks now, so we have like kind of 3 forms of communications there.
Triple redundant.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's all. Okay, any questions?
No, this has been a great event each year. They've worked closely with tourism and everybody. It's always been a really good event. There hasn't ever been any issues. It's been a good thing.
Yeah, thank you. There was a gentleman that talked about the Desert Trail.
Yes. So Mike Worthen expressed some concern, and Don has been working with him, but Mike felt like, I'll let you explain it, but I guess Mike felt like which trail was it?
He calls it the Desert Trail.
Yeah.
In his description, I'm going to coordinate with him. I got his phone number to talk and narrow it down a little bit better.
I think it's this section right here.
Which is a fairly wide road, so I typically run the blade down that road. But some of the stuff are like 42 to 43 is like a 2-track road. And I try not to ruin the trail to take it from a 2-track to now like a bladed road. We don't need any more bladed roads in this country. So, but if he has concerns like for mile 42, 43, or wherever it is, I'll do my best to restore that so he still has good access, whether that's like maybe bring in a smaller tractor, or maybe he's got some sort of a trail maintainer. Maybe we just work with him and help him get that repaired. But
Don has been, he's got Mike's number now.
Yeah, so I can
and they'll
coordinate
on
directly
that. But Mike just expressed that concern because it was part of his UHV trail system that he had built over the years, and I think he just wanted to make sure it was restored. So.
Yeah, so we'll coordinate with him and make sure we get that repaired where his concern is.
Awesome.
All right, thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the use of county roads for an off-road event held August 28th through 30th, 2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda item number 5 is presentation of a 2025 independent audit by Kimball and Roberts, certified public accountants. Rick Roberts and Gabe Miller.
Good morning.
Morning.
Guess you don't have time today to read through this whole thing.
Not right now.
book.
So we'll just touch on a few things. The main thing we want to get to is the opinion, where this is your financial statements. We render an opinion on it to state that it is fairly stated in all material respects. So on page 4, we give our opinion on these financial statements. On that second paragraph, we state, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, the aggregate discretely presented component unit, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of Iron County as of December 31st, 2025, and the respective changes in the financial position and, where applicable, cash flows thereof for the year then ended, in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. That is what's called a clean, unqualified opinion, meaning in our testing and observations and inquiries, we didn't find any material errors or irregularities. So I'm just going to have you turn over to page, this is kind of new, on page 7, we've had to implement a new GASB 103, which expands a lot on this management discussion analysis. This used to be about 7 or 8 pages, 8 or 9 pages. Now it goes to 18 pages. I'm not going to go through any of it. I just want to inform you, if you have the time or one night you can't go to sleep, you can open this up and read through it. There's some good comparative schedules there, some charts, and it's a little more expanded on what it was before. Also, we've had some changes on the budget to actual back in the back. This back on page 77, or actually 75. The same GASB pronouncement has required us now to include another column in this. We have the we have the beginning budget and final budget. And they've had us insert another column in there called the variance between the original budget over and under the final budget. And also, if there's any major changes in there, they want an explanation, transparency of why the budget changed. And then that's on the revenues. And on the expenditures, they want you to be able to disclose why there was major changes between the actual expenditures and the final budget. And so there's a little chart at the very end, I'm spending time on page 82, that this is prepared by Luke, which shows the differences between the material differences now, not every little difference, but material differences between the budget and actual. And those are interesting. You can go down through and check those out at your leisure. Those are a couple of the changes in there that they're trying to make this statement more transparency, which means more verbiage and more information. And so we want to thank you for the opportunity we have to come down and perform the audit and bug everybody and ask them to get us information. It went very well. So I'll turn a little time over now to Gabe. He'll go through some of the compliance issues. Gabe?
Okay, good morning. Appreciate the opportunity to be here to present this to you. As Rick kind of covered, you guys, I know, extensively review your financial information, and we're over 6 months, almost 8 months to where this is historical information here. So all of this, if you have had a chance to look at any of the numbers or the figures or the way the statements are put together, we'd be happy to answer them. But basically, as Rick said, we'll just give you our opinion, and then there's a compliance section at the end that we, in addition to our financial statement opinion, we have to provide opinions for starting on page 102. So I'm going to hit a couple of these reports for the record as far as what we found or didn't find. Pages 102 through 103 is the independent auditor's report on internal control over the financial reporting and compliance on other matters based on the audit of the financial statements. And this is where if there was any concerns, even though we're not, our engagement is not to test or give an opinion on your internal controls, we have to obviously consider them and evaluate them in our testing, and this is why we do interviews, walkthroughs with different departments, different areas. And in this regard, if there was any deficiency or material weaknesses that would have arisen in those walkthroughs or inquiries, we would note them here. In this particular year, as we went through, we did not identify, in that bottom paragraph, it says, during our audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. However, they may exist and may have not been identified. So again, that's kind of it's an opinion, but it's not. It's just basically stating that we've covered it and that we didn't recognize or find anything in your internal controls. With a county your size, you guys have a lot more resources available to mitigate a lot of that, even though stuff can still happen. People are still people. As you've experienced, generally speaking, your controls and your people in place have the ability to catch those things. So the next report, page 104, and this kind of extends through this is referring to the single audit, so pages 104 through 110 is in regards to our report on compliance for each major program and on internal control over compliance required by the uniform guidance. So this is regarding your federal dollars. If you exceed $1 million in federal expending of those monies in a fiscal year, you're required to have an audit, and then we're required to select and test certain programs. In this particular area, it is in our opinion, which is at the page 104, second paragraph, in our opinion, the county complied in all material respects with the types of compliance requirements referred to above that could have a direct and material effect on each of its major federal programs by the year ended December 31st, 2025. And those programs were identified, and they're found on pages 108 and 109. These are the funds that were expended and by dollar amount, by program. And the two, there is a selection process we have to go through in determining which programs to test. And then each one of those programs have their own compliance requirements. And so in our opinion, the ones that were we ended up having to test the watershed program and flood prevention and the emergency watershed protection, which constitutes about a little over $500,000 of federal expenditures. Your total assistance expenditures was $1.5 million. You'll see the total there on page 109. So we end up testing in this case, or in this particular year, about a third of your federal money, and found no instances of noncompliance. So that's a positive check. Good job. The last one is the state compliance, and this is our independent auditor's report found on starting on page 111. Independent auditor's report on compliance and report on internal control over compliance is required by the state compliance audit guide. Every year, the Utah State Auditor's Office issues their it's not little, but it's their audit procedural guide that we need to test certain functions. Those line items that or areas that we're required to test are found in the center of page 111. You'll see them listed there in two columns: budgetary compliance, fund balance, etc. And so there at the bottom, middle of the page, in our opinion, Iron County complied in all material respects with the state compliance requirements referred to above for the year that ended December 31st, 2025. But then if we have any findings under the other matters, we have to mention it. And there was one instance, which is on page 113, finding 2025-1, state compliance, the fraud risk assessment not completed. Now, that is a condition that most entities had because there was a little bit of a confusion on when and how and the timing of that. And that wasn't communicated and acknowledged. The state auditor's office has acknowledged that there was a little bit of misunderstanding in how that was supposed to be performed. So at the end of the day, you're supposed to every year within the year do the fraud risk assessment in a public meeting, approve it, evaluate it, and then upload it within the year. And so this was just an overlap kind of a situation where our recommendation is that you do that because that's essentially what the state wants you to do. Do that in the year that it's for. And your response was that you would do that now that you're understanding of the requirements there. So not a big deal. You are not the only entity that will have that or has had it. So other than that, a very, very clean, no issue audit. We do include at the end of this section, we did have if you recall, the finding last year regarding the recording of the bond and the assets, the issue with those. And so there was 2 findings. When we come the subsequent year, we're to obviously be aware of and test those even a little more stringently. And if we find the same condition, we would have the same finding. And it would continue on. In this case, we did not find those conditions present, so everything was corrected. We found no issues where there was major adjustments required. And so we include in this report a resolution of the findings from the prior year, just basically stating that those processes that needed to be implemented have been implemented and appear to be working effectively, and we had no issues. So that's kind of a clear up of those 2 audits. And then the very last page, this is a new we realize that it's a little small, but that's the state's format. We just started to insert this in your audit report. This is in regards to your transient room tax revenue and expenditures. It's now a uniform form that the state is having all entities include so that they can do their thing to see comparatively counties, how they're doing, how they're spending the money. And so that's just an insertion of the report that was filed with them. But other than that, that's really all we have. So we appreciate, again, staff's great. You've got great staff. We enjoy and appreciate the opportunity to come and perform the audit. And so unless you have any questions for us, we'll let you on with your meeting.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Item number 6, review and possible approval of the results of the 2026 May tax sale presented by August Franklin.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me? All right, really just probably want to flip to the back. So we had our tax sale on May 28th this year, and we had 69 properties all sold, which acquired or resulted in, I can't read my own paper, $529,068.39. Of that, the county retained $53,214.05 in taxes, fees, and recording fees, leaving the $475,854.34 to be claimed in surplus funds. Everything went great. We sold everything, and it was good. That's it, unless you have questions.
We didn't have any residences, homes that
No.
done this year, do we?
None this year.
That's awesome. Cool.
Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion.
I will move for approval of the results of the 2026 May tax sale.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, if you'll all sign the copy that Commissioner Robinson has, and Luke will pick it up at the end. Thank you.
Bailey, are you ready? Or do you want me to?
We all need to sign this.
Yep. Okay, agenda item number 7, presentation and discussion regarding the Wildland Urban Interface, the WUI, presented by Sam Woodall, Bailey Banks, and Kendall Allen.
To be clear, this is the Bailey Show. So
Hopefully, yes. Yeah, because Kendall's not here
Reading
yet.
what's on the agenda.
But yeah, good morning, Commissioners. I'm Bailey. I'm the GIS coordinator. So we have been tasked with creating a WUI zone for Iron County, and it's been fun, but I also don't like it either. So But so if I can go over to my computer, I'll show you guys what we've put together. So
Awesome.
if I was taller, you could see me too. So
There'll be applause at the end, however you do. It'll be fine.
I hope so. So a little bit about the WUI stuff. It started with the HB 48 bill that was last year. So the counties have been tasked to create the WUI zone. So that is why we're kind of here today for it. So now everyone just watch me type my password.
You should put it on you.
Right.
Oh, so much pressure.
Okay, so here's a little, we call it a story map. So a little bit about what WUI is the definition of where the urban and the wildland meet together. So for a little picture, boundaries were right there at the foothills. So why WUI matters in Utah is we have a unfortunate rising in wildfire frequency. And Utah has passed a bill in 2025. The bill increased awareness for wildfire risk, and the WUI outlines shared responsibility between the state and the property owners for defensible space and home hardening. HB 48 requires Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands to create high-risk WUI boundaries. This map identifies area where existing structures face highest wildfire risk based on factors such as proximity to vegetation, wildfire likelihood, ember, travel potential, and distance between homes. Parties located within the high-risk WUI boundaries will be assessed an annual fee. The map is available for the public through the URAP portal site, which will be updated annually. So the high-risk WUI boundaries is built from multiple inputs, including imagery, slope, vegetation, fuels data, fire history, ember loading, and housing density. The states put it together so these are kind of in a designated areas. And we can go through the whole map later, but just want to kind of get to the point of what is WUI code and where does it come from, and what are the differences there, and what are the counties being tasked now to do. WUI code, came from 2003, way back in the day, adopted in 2006, and it helps bridge the gap between building code and buildings, what's being built, and building materials and defensible space. So with the HB 48 mandated that the cities and counties adopt the WUI code and WUI zones with that code. These must have been done by January 1st, 2026, but with this new bill of HB 41 for 2026, that was pushed back. So thank goodness. So where WUI zones differ from the state high-risk WUI maps. The first one I want to talk about is the WUI zone mapped by each county or municipality is covering a broader area to account for current and future development from risk of wildfire. This area in the WUI code applies, the area where the WUI code applies, there are no fees for the structures to be in this area. The high-risk WUI map created by the state identifies where existing structures are most at risk and used for insurance purposes. Like they can't be dropped within these areas without an explanation. And the state gave out a PDF that really details the differences. There's a lot of verbiage in it, so I just like to just show people instead. So the counties have been tasked to create our WUI zone, and I should say counties and municipalities also have to create these boundaries too. The criteria for defining WUI zones are different, blah, 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 blah. So the state has given out public information for us GIS folks to download. So they suggest using the state GIS layers to generate WUI boundary areas. I recommend a starting point from the structure exposure score of layer, and that is kind of tells us how to do that within this documentation. The structure exposure score is created by, the ember distance, flame length, and all this other mumbo jumbo. But so the state recommends our basis of the WUI layer be created with a structure exposure score of 5 and greater. So that's what this looks like for Iron County right now. It did look worse technically last week, but we decided to cut out the land ownership layer because we can't control what's on BLM and Forest Service and all that. So we just have to configure and reduce or increase what's in private land. So just as a close-up, it's a lot technically. And if we didn't do any changes and this was just straight adopted, now, the new building codes have to go into place of where sprinklers, no close trees, no close buildings, kind of just where that gets to be a part of. So we're encouraged right now as we're creating these WUI zones to take out what we don't want, like if we don't agree with it. So if we think this field needs to be fully cut out, we should probably cut it out. So, but I am just requesting, people of authority. Bailey Banks, as a GIS map maker, should not make that decision. So I'm looking, for department heads and our elected officials to help create this layer.
Well, it seems like that just right where you were with all those pivots, you could cut that whole thing out, right?
Yes. Yep. So
Why is that even in there?
Within the state's layer, GIS layers that we were allowed to download and to create our basis of our layers, that fell within the structure exposure score of 5 and greater. So the structure exposure scores from 1 through 8, and 5 through 8 are recommended to create your WUI boundaries, and then you can edit the areas as needed from there. So, but yes, there's a lot of fields in there that I.
So this is just the state downloaded without any tweaking.
Yep.
This is the start.
Yes, this is our start for sure.
County, we go through and say, hey, this doesn't make sense. We clean it up.
Yep.
Right. So
And they accept it. They might accept it.
So the state can't really say what we can and can't. But it's just where we want it to be enforced. Like, do we have the personnel to enforce these new building codes within these areas? And so the process is we create our areas and then we take it to planning and commission and they approve it, and then we take it to you guys again and you guys approve it, and then it's an ordinance basically. So, George?
Yes.
Yes,
Commissioner.
George, right?
What are your thoughts on the initial map, and then moving
Well,
forward, how do we manipulate the map, and who do we involve? Who do we involve?
Yeah.
You and Spencer and
Yeah,
Cassie?
with all due respect to DNR, and I think they'd be the first ones to agree, this map is really, I'm going to clean up my language, it's terrible.
It's a poor beginning, but we
it
gotta
is a
start
really
somewhere.
poor beginning. But keep in mind, and the simplest way to look at this, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, simplest way to think about this is that the state map, the DNR map, is the one that people are going to be assessed off of, and we have until August to appeal certain areas, high-risk areas. But the state map is what the assessments by the state are going to be made off of, and the insurance companies are going to base their rates on. Our maps are for a completely different purpose, and that's for our purposes. So they're not the same, but we've got to take the state map seriously, and if we're going to appeal it, we need to do that because our citizens are going to be assessed, and their insurance rates are going to go up accordingly if they're kept in the high-risk areas. And
I'm just going to quickly come in here and take off my DNR hat for a minute and put on my Iron County hat. So the difference between these maps, and I'm going to be working with Brett and Terry to develop this WUI map. So it's only going to be that the blue is going to be part of the WUI code enforcement. So that national WUI code that we adopted back in 2023, when we're doing new developments, building for the infrastructure, all that kind of stuff, That's what the blue on the map is going to represent. So it'll take Brett and Terry and I to sit down, and we'll get with Bailey, and we'll cut out a lot of the stuff that doesn't need to be in the WUI zones, because there is a lot. If you zoom in, there's a lot of desolate land. I mean, you got the sand dunes out to Burl, places that we're never going to develop anything. We're not going to have any kind of WUI problems, meaning wildland fire problems, when we're doing these new developments. We're going to cut a lot of this stuff out. What that process will be, and we'll meet on Thursday, we'll go through and we'll clean this map up to what it really should be: common sense. Put a little more common sense into our WUI map, so the county's WUI map. So when we go into these development meetings and we go into these sketch meetings and we're determining, okay, this new development's going to meet our wildland urban interface area, and we're going to follow those WUI codes. We're going to enforce the WUI code. We're going to make sure, roads, infrastructure, water, building material, things like that are all going to be followed. And then the high risk stuff is another ball game. Those little red dots. We will get with Bailey. We'll kind of cut some of those out and do explanations on why we don't think those should be in the high risk. And it's going to be a lot of that's going to be based on common sense. These areas do not promote, high risk WUI. What they're doing is picking up areas where we've had multiple fires. So roadside starts, little grass fires, probably lightning or firework type little fires, and the system's picking them up as this is a high risk area because we're getting multiple starts. I-15 corridor is a big one because we get roadside starts along I-15, and so the system is picking those up. So some of these areas need to be shaved off a little bit, a little more common sense, a little more local knowledge on the ground, not just a model, the Salt Lake office is projecting that, this is high risk because we got a bunch of fires here. So those are the difference between two maps. Do I need to cover anything more as far as the blue goes? Because the blue one is the one that is going to require Planning Commission to approve, as well as the commissioners. You guys are going to have to approve and adopt this and attach it to the National Wildland Urban Interface Code ordinance that we currently have. I'll put my DNR hat back on, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
As far as my role in this is actually what I was hired to do, is to work on the HB 48 legislation. So these red spots in the map, and this is the portion of the map that we will edit and we will submit to the state for our appeals process. I've already sent, and Bailey has built this story map for us, so that some of the officials who know more and have boots on the ground experience with wildfires can edit this map, and we will be able to submit those edits to the state. It opens up August 7th, and then we have to have them done and submitted by the end of August, and the state will take under consideration our input into that map, and that is what the HB 48, when we start, or if we start doing those assessments, that's what it will be based off of. So
Could you tell us about what this is going to mean for the homeowners in the different different colors, the light blue, the dark blue, and it looks purple to me, but
yeah,
it does definitely on the screen. Yep.
My wheelhouse is only the wildfire assessments with HB 48, so I can't speak on what it will mean for building, zoning, and things like that. But the red will be what the assessments will be based off of when we start doing, or however that shakes out with the state. I have a feeling that once January 2027 comes up, that they're going to amend it again, and there are going to be more changes to it and things like that. But
well, and I guess what I'm asking is, if I have a 1,500 square foot home that's got an upstairs and a downstairs, and I'm in the red area right here, what is that going to mean for me?
So what your process would be requesting an assessment from, we haven't quite worked out whether DNR the state is going to do those assessments, or if the county, we're going to hire some more people to do those assessments in addition to myself. And you will get an assessment. Your fee will be based on your risk level from that assessment. You can reduce your risk level by doing certain home hardening and mitigation efforts, like clearing a certain amount of space around your home, or what kind of shingles you have on your roof and things like that to reduce your risk score, which will then reduce your fee. And from what I understand, they're doing that based on square footage.
A few things I'll add to it. So the state is going to default. There's your 3 classifications of your high risk of high, medium high, and low high. So everyone going into this HB 48 bill, they're going to be tasked at their gross living area, just total square footage of your house assessed, and then default high to be your high rate. They haven't come out with what the rates are going to be yet, but everyone will be defaulted high and then encouraged to do these assessments with CASI to lower their score. So, but if they never do anything on it, then they will always be in as a high. So.
The problem I see with that is that even with an appeal, homeowners may get the state to bring down, but that's no guarantee that the insurance company is going to bring it down. So that's a problem I see, or actually discontinue their policy based on where they're at in the WUI.
Will Iron County be responsible to do the inspections, or will the state?
Well, that's something that ENR's working. We're working on.
Through that. Okay, so
we're working through that, and
wondering about our unfunded mandate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. Well, it's kind of. Go ahead.
The program itself should by the fees, that's what this was designed to do, is perpetuate itself. The program was designed to perpetuate itself. So with the fees, that's what covers the hiring of people to do the assessments.
And as the fees are collected, the county can keep part of the fee, and that is to help. This fee also goes out on the tax notices, so that's an added cost to the county, so that can be reimbursed from this budget, we'll call it, and the personnels that go along with it too. So
the county takes their cut of the fees first, and then the rest goes to the state to perpetuate the program. And I'm sure you can see where issues might arise from that.
The taxpayers are paying the fees.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And like worst case scenario, if I'm in a red area and I haven't mitigated anything, and I've got 3,000 square foot home, what is that going to mean for me each year?
Your fee is going to be higher.
And if you don't pay it for 5 years, then it does go to the tax sale list too.
Okay.
So the fee starting out the first year, it's either going to be $20, $50, or $100 based on your square footage. So I think it's like if it's under 1,000 square feet, it's 20. If it's between that and 3,000 is 50, and above 3,000 is a $100 fee. So that's for the first year set, and then there's. So it's either going to be $20, $50, or $100, depending on the size of your home, depending on square footage for the first year. Then after that, they will reassess it and decide what the fee is going to be. But the first year, that's how much the fee will be.
I assume it'll be exponentially higher moving forward.
And Nicole will get to add that to the property tax bill. So that'll just be added to their property tax bill, and they'll pay it with their property taxes is how it'll be billed and collected. So she'll get to take the heat for some of it.
And Commissioner Blake's absolutely right on this. Several people have expressed to me, well, maybe they'll overturn it in legislature. To be quite frank, I've never seen the legislature turn down a revenue-producing bill yet, and I've never seen one that stayed at the lowest possible rate. It always goes up, and I just see this exponentially going up as time goes, and especially with the fires. More fire danger. This is going to get higher, and that's just my.
Just like my example, I have a cabin at Aspen Lake down on Webster. I have about a 400-year-old ponderosa pine in front of my cabin, and I know because I had one tip over, and I counted the rings. It was over 400 years old, and I mean, do they use common sense when it comes to, like we talked about before, Spencer, that those trees thrive on fire, and they don't burn. Their bark is like asbestos. Do they use common sense with that? Because I'm not going to cut that tree down.
Yeah, so what we do is most likely the way that these assessments are going to come, they're going to follow the national structure assessment that we're already currently using. And so we'll look at many different factors, but doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have to cut that one big ponderosa right in front of your cabin. We'll look at many different factors when it plays into that to lower that score. I just want to highlight, so the work that Bailey's doing on the wildland urban interface map is super important, but the work that Cassie and Bailey are doing on this high risk map and getting ready for that appeals process is super important for the taxpayers of Iron County. A lot of these areas, curb and gutter, landscaped here on the ridge that you're looking at right now. I don't think that that's a huge high risk, wildland urban interface, and those folks shouldn't be taxed and a fee for they can't do any more to their house. I mean, they can't landscape their house anymore. They can't, home harden their house anymore. And so these are the areas that we really need to highlight, and the work that these two ladies are doing is super important. But yeah, when it comes to common sense, the assessors, they'll go through a training process. We'll look at, many different factors when we're doing assessments for these folks. And we'll be right there side by side helping out wherever we can to bring that common sense to it. So.
Yes.
Is this map online now?
The state does have one. I have a map for us as Iron County personnel to use that I can send you to.
You can send us one.
But we do have, the state does have one that I can send you to that has this. Just it doesn't have our parcel information and stuff like that. So
editing map right now.
Yeah, this is our editing.
Sure. Thank you.
Yep. But yeah, it's just an added fee that I just don't think is necessary. I guess I don't.
Well, and I mean, we've been pushing back in the legislature for 2-3 years, and I mean that's where House Bill 41 came along, is because of our pushback. And yeah, I'm with George though. It's not going to go away.
Yep.
So I mean, whatever we can do to mitigate it.
Yep. I just have, my request is that we do make a valiant effort, to mitigate these HB 48 areas and to be very vigilant when we're creating our own WUI areas, is that we take very good time and care to put into it. So.
And I think ultimately, if you own a big enough home and your additional tax bill is $100, if you can afford a home bigger than normal and it's $100, you're going to pay it. It's like, so what? So the state, I think, is going to see that and say, nah, we got to make it a little bit more painful and make you, because people will not do what they need to do and just pay the $100. And I think that ultimately we're going to have to make it more painful if we're going to actually make it safer. And so I think the state will probably end up doing that.
Well, I'm sure I could go on and on and on, but.
So is there a plan to sit down and work on it? Like, what is the plan?
Thursday, they said. They have a meeting Thursday to start.
Okay.
I sent out the link.
That's what that Thursday meeting is about.
Don, I think I sent it to you.
Okay.
Did I?
Yeah.
And I think we're in good hands, Cassie and Spencer and building department. I don't think we could be in better hands as a county to objectively look at the issue.
Cedar City Fire and Fairlawn are both actively working on it right now too. So
Yep.
editing that now.
Yeah, I just, encourage the municipalities with the HB 48 bill and county are required, to adopt the WUI zone and make their own maps. I just encourage them to, I don't know how they're going to make it, but
that's something we can address in Fire Chiefs Committee, which is probably one coming up. And they've been actively working on that also. We've addressed this a whole bunch in that committee, so.
Yeah, yep, definitely. So, cool.
So if we need to encourage any fire departments, we can Well, you just sick George on them most of the time. Works fairly well.
They were more scared of Cassie's.
That's good.
Okay, well, I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. That's
Thank
a
you.
that's a great update. I appreciate that.
The frustrating part about this, at the end of the day, the insurance companies do not care.
Yeah, no.
They do not care what color, what line, whatever we do. They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So there's no vote on that, anything. So we'll go on to agenda item number 8, discussion of possible approval of memorandum of understanding between Iron County and Cedar Highlands HOA concerning a fire truck staging project.
Okay. Cassie Meredith, Iron County Emergency Management Wildland Fire Specialist or Community Specialist. I don't know, it's a big, long mouthful of a title. I've been working on a project with the community of Cedar Highlands and Cedar City Fire Department. We're going to house a wildland fire truck up at Cedar Highlands. They have graciously donated some land for us to use to put a structure to protect the truck. The structure is going to be basically a giant carport. It's going to be about 30 by 40 foot long. Enclosed sides, left so that we have the option to enclose it all the way in the future. And then also big enough that we will eventually be able to park an engine up there as well, hopefully within the next year. We are going to purchase a solar power system to keep the batteries charged. And this all in an effort to reduce response time if anything should happen up that way. It's slow moving getting up there into Cedar Highlands, but the truck will be there, if a fire starts in surrounding area as well, not just Cedar Highlands. So that's the goal. And so the MOU that should be in your packet is just for the land use with Cedar Highlands and Iron County.
Is there anyone in the area that's equipped or certified to run the equipment, or?
No. Cedar Fire will respond still, just in their regular trucks to run up there. They won't have to drive a fire truck up there.
Seems like it'd be wise to do a little volunteer fire department up there. So
It
they
would
can
be, and
train
yeah,
to run that truck, because you're still gonna have the response time.
Yeah, so it would be like over a half hour, 45 minutes. Would you say, Spencer?
Yeah,
to drive a truck up there as opposed to 20 minutes.
So in a pickup truck, you can get there a lot quicker with a couple guys versus taking an engine or a brush truck, which is much slower response time. There is still going to be a response time. I think that I'm sure Phillips has thought about that too, trying to have somebody more locally trained.
And
it'd be just finding a volunteer.
Yeah. And I know Cedar Highlands is also actively working to become a Firewise community. And so that might be something that they would look into as well.
The problem, Commissioner, with the volunteer fire department up there, or volunteer fire department anywhere, is training, certification, maintenance of that training, and it calls for a lot of stuff, and continuity. You've got to have continuity. And most of those people up there are retired and probably wouldn't be able to pass a PAC test. So the idea that they can build a fire department up there, a volunteer fire department, they might get a few, but not enough to.
I'm just thinking of two guys that know how to run the truck,
Yeah.
two women or men or whoever.
It's
they're going to be out of town when the
it's
fire.
problematic.
I think this is a quick solution to a greater problem of just getting folks up there.
Would we provide the truck, or would Cedar City?
Cedar City.
Okay.
We're just providing
We're just providing the what?
The building?
the cover. We're using PC funds for it.
Okay.
Is it summertime only?
Yes. Yep. The truck will only be up for about 3 to 4 months out of the year, and they'll bring it down. Eventually, when we can fully enclose the structure, we have talked about in the future just being able to leave trucks up there year round, but we're not at that point yet.
When they were still incorporated, there was some discussion about having a government building and some kind of fire assets, but they unincorporated just 2 years after they incorporated, so.
Oh, okay.
I think this is as good of a resolution as we can provide right now. It'll cut their response time in half.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah.
They'll get there a lot quicker than the rest of us.
yeah.
So, and then is the copy that you have the one that they should sign?
This is the one that you gave me?
Yes.
Is that the right one?
That is the correct
Okay.
one. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So John has the copy for signature.
Now, did you want to talk about any of the
changes
on getting to this version of the MOU?
Yeah, we went back and forth. There were just a couple of things that they were concerned about, and that was making sure that if this agreement ever dissolves, that Iron County pick up our assets and clean up after ourselves, basically. So we went back and forth on that, and I think we've reached a place where it's mutually beneficial to both Iron County and to Cedar Highlands, that the land will be restored to what it was previous. And I'm going to make sure I will document myself exactly what it looked like before. So that
if you had a garage there, you wouldn't tear it down, right?
It depends on if that's what Iron County wants to do, if this agreement ever dissolved or not.
I would think they'd just leave it to use it for something else.
And in that case, you can see in the MOU that those assets will go to the homeowners association. They will then own those assets.
That only makes sense.
And we're absolved of that. But it depends on what Iron County wants to do should this agreement dissolve. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be the Cedar Highlands HOA president. Yeah. Yep.
How big is the area?
The area
you said
is
the building was 30 by 45,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the footprint of everything.
The area is quite a bit bigger than that, but the space that's all the space that we'll need.
Is that meadow up there on top, or?
Yep, that meadow up there on top where the new water tank was put. Yeah, just right as you turn into the subdivision. That's exactly where
The
it
water
will be.
district just put a new tank up there.
Yep. Mhm. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. So I'll entertain a motion.
I think it's my turn, isn't
So-
it? I'll move to approve the MOU between the Iron County and Cedar Highlands HOA concerning a fire truck staging project.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 9 is review and possible approval of an agreement allowing temporary access across county property. Sam.
John, if you've got GIS map, we're just looking at the southeast corner of the fairgrounds. You're familiar with City View Drive. I think it was last year, vacated our public interest in a portion of that road that cut across the Hasmeyer property. These are neighbors to the Hasmeyers. The Lefevres are the name. They were the one who would be on the other side of the agreement. What I'm proposing for the commission to approve is just in principle an agreement to allow the Lefevres to cross county property on the fairgrounds to the rear of their 2 lots, which are further east of the Hasmeyers. John's pulling it up right here. That's the Hasmeyers. You've got your cursor over, John, and then those 2, and then that's 1, and then 2 more over. Those 2 are the Lefevres. Yes. So our exhibits that are going to be attached to this agreement will dictate which parcels are going to have access. The way it's written right now, we can be as narrow or as broad as you want. If you want to grant access to each individual parcel, my thought was that the county would grant a single access to the closest parcel, and then he could coordinate getting access to the second parcel via that first one. Additionally, this is temporary. It's not a permanent easement. This is a temporary access agreement. It lasts 5 years, and then it terminates. Any further easements would be a new agreement. There's no consideration changing hands right now.
In speaking with the county staff, our understanding is that eventually that property that abuts those two parcels will be part of a public road to access the Meisner development. That's not finalized right now. I think they are finishing up annexation, but as far as getting permits for the subdivision, that hasn't occurred yet. But in theory, that's the next step, is that there'll be a public road there. So this made sense because in speaking with the staff, eventually there's going to be a road there anyway, and there will be easements that they can pull off of at that time. They'll still need to get county permission for a more permanent easement, but temporarily, we're looking at 5 years, allowing them to come through the gate across county property and access one of those parcels. What is not in the agreement is, like if we wanted to do a survey, I could add a provision that has the Lefevers pay for a survey for where we're going to put the temporary easement. But as it is right now, John, I don't know if you can swing over to the agreement. Sorry. It dictates the parcels there, but we're going to have other legal descriptions. The conditions of access in paragraph 3 just say that we're going to set the parameters of the access, and you can't make any alterations to our property without express written permission. They're not going to store anything on county property. It's strictly for access. And then again, in paragraph E, we reserve the right to revoke access at any time. So again, this is not a recorded easement. I mean, I guess you could record this, but this is not intended to be permanent. It's just a temporary access agreement. And that will help the Lefevers accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. And then as we know more certainly where the public road will go, we can address easements at that time. So what questions do you have? Concerns?
What's the fence? What's the existing fence there, and what kind of gate do they want to put in, or what are their thoughts there?
Right now there is a fence right there where John is at, and then further to the north, John, if you go down, right on the corner of the Hasemeyers. I want to say there's another fence. There may not be. But if there's at least one gate they would have to go through to get onto the county property, and then there's nothing else fenced that they would have to break through or anything like that. It's just a
Where
matter
the
of...
cursor is now, there's no fence?
Correct. That's my understanding.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Makes sense.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval of aforementioned agreement allowing temporary access across county property.
Second, sorry.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move on to item number 10, personnel.
Thank you. I'll first cover items 1 through 6 for your consideration before spending some time discussing number 7 on the agenda, if that's okay. In the Sheriff's Office Corrections, Roberto Leyva has expressed interest to return as a part-time deputy, backfill a vacant position, effective July 5th, 2026. Stephen Vermilia was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time medical deputy position, effective July 19th, 2026. Jared Ferguson and Ashley Courts have completed all tasks and requirements to receive promotions from a Deputy 2 to a Deputy 3 status effective July 5th of 2026. Brian Aguayo was selected from the most recent roster to receive an interim corporal promotion from a Deputy 3 to a corporal, effective August 2nd, 2026, and this backfill will be for a military deployment. In the Sheriff's Office Patrol, John Bettridge and Slade Blackburn have been selected to fill reserve deputy positions effective July 5th, 2026. In the engineer department, Hayden Adams was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time sign technician position effective July 20th, 2026. In the fleet department, Troy Anger was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time automotive technician position effective July 20th, 2026. In the clerk election office, Jamie Memmott was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time deputy clerk position effective August 3rd, 2026. And that's it for now.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on those items.
I'll move to approve in agenda item number 10, personnel 1 through 5.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. In the most recent department head meeting, we had discussions regarding our current evaluation process. It was expressed that changes should be made in order to be more effective or efficient in the yearly performance evaluation process. I've submitted the proposed changes in the commission packet, which includes some employee acknowledgement forms, as well as the updates to Section 3 of policies and procedures, if those are approved. And if Commissioners Robinson and Blake would like to elaborate, they were involved in that discussion process. And I'm also happy to answer some questions if we have anything to add.
I don't have anything to add.
It seemed pretty straightforward, bringing the review process into reality of, I can't remember, was it a 5-star or?
Yeah, it was 1 through 5, yeah.
Through
depending on-
5, 3 is you're doing your job.
Mm.
And so it's pretty straightforward. Bless you.
Thanks.
I have nothing further, Jen. Is that it?
That's it.
All
All
right,
right,
I'll entertain a motion
I'd
then.
move for approval of the update to Section 3 of the Iron County Personal Policies and Procedure Manual to include guidelines for yearly evaluations.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. Do we have any county boards? Any
No, not
information changes?
Not for me.
All right. Then we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you.